Hello, I'm Beth. This mindfulness meditation is designed for creating space. You might find this meditation helpful if you're coming to an end of something or starting something new, like the end of a year or a new year, or something else in your life that is in transition. So, we're going to look at creating space at events and things as they occur, not trying to push away things that are more unpleasant or cling to things that are more pleasant, but create space for all to exist just as it is. So come to a comfortable seat. You want to be seated so that you can be upright. We'll do some breath focus as we get started on the meditation. You can be in a chair or on the floor, rest your hands by your side or on your lap, whatever is comfortable for you. We start to focus our attention. That is mindfulness, is choosing to focus our attention with intention. And here our attention is to be more aware, and to do that without any kind of judgment, with a sense of kindness and curiosity. So begin to bring your attention to simple sensations that you feel sitting here. Maybe you can feel the air on your skin or the light pressure of whatever you're sitting on. Start to notice things that you sense with your other senses. Perhaps you're watching me on this video and hearing my voice. Maybe there are other sounds in the background. So this is part of our creating space, as we allow all those different sensations to be in our awareness without having to chase after any one in particular. And we'll start to move a little bit more internally, noticing the actual physical space of our bodies, and starting to bring your attention to your breath, noticing how your breath actually creates space in your body. So as you take a breath in, becoming aware of that space created as you breathe in, and a sense of that spaciousness even as you exhale and the breath leaves your body. So a few times like that on your own, simply drawing your attention to your breath and the space it creates in your body. Now, for some people, focus on the breath is difficult. It might even be distracting or produce some anxiety. Know that if that's you, that's okay. It's not always easy to draw our focus to the breath. So in that case, I invite you to draw your focus to a neutral, spacious part of your body. So maybe you can feel a sense of space around your heart, the warmth of your heart center, without focusing on the breath per se. Or perhaps you can feel a sense of space just in your head, that sense of being openness, having an openness of mind. So it might be a little bit less concrete than the space that your breath creates. It's all fine though. Any type of space that you can focus on, and we are going to move a little bit more to metaphors of space in a moment. But right now, let's stay for a few more moments of the space of our physical bodies and noticing how we can be expansive. Noticing that all of those things we noticed with our senses in the beginning are likely still there. Any sounds that were present, any physical sensations, and yet they may have faded to the background a little bit as you've chosen to put your attention in different places. And so in mindfulness, we're not clearing our mind or forgetting about certain things. That's sort of a myth of mindfulness. Simply allowing all to be as is while we choose where to direct our attention. Now, very frequently, our attention in life is directed to things that we perceive as being less pleasant, things that are painful or difficult for us. That's natural. That's a natural tendency we've developed across our own lives, but really across generations as a human race, that we, at one time, it was more helpful, it was more useful for us to focus on the negative when there were many environmental threats. In today's world, when those basic environmental threats for most of us or for many of us don't exist, it's not as helpful to be as focused on the negative. So here's where we can not ignore the negative or the pain or the unpleasantness that's out there, create more space around it. One metaphor for that is, imagine if you put a teaspoon of salt into a cup of water. If you tasted that water, of course, that water would taste pretty salty and probably make a face. It would taste pretty unpleasant. Now let's imagine putting that same teaspoon of salt into a freshwater lake, a large freshwater lake. If you happen to drink the water from that lake, the salt would still be there. We haven't gotten rid of it. We haven't eliminated it, but it would be virtually indetectable, as the larger body of water creates more space. Take a moment to reflect on that, see if that metaphor is meaningful to you at all, if it lands somewhere for you. So another metaphor for how we can widen our lens or create more space is this metaphor of taking a wider lens. So if you imagine that there's something in your life that is difficult or challenging, your attention is likely drawn to that as if it's under a microscope. So you might imagine that for a moment, that you have this laser-like focus. It's magnified to this really difficult or negative thing. Once again, that's not wrong. That's natural. It's natural for our attention to be drawn there. And at one time in the generation of humans, it was actually really adaptive for our attention to be so drawn to negative. Now we tend to get such a laser-like focus that we do tend to magnify these things and lose or distort what's around them. So imagine taking that focus on whatever that thing is. Again, not getting rid of it or doing anything to it at all, but pulling back a little bit, turning down the level of magnification or pulling away from the microscope, viewing that thing in real time, in real space, creating a little bit more space around it. And if this particular metaphor works for you, you can continue that process of imagining moving back even further. What does that thing look like for you if it's right here under the microscope versus if it's over there across the room? How does your mind relate to it? How does your body feel differently? I'll introduce one more metaphor, and this is one of concentric circles. It's similar to what we did with the laser-like focus. It's just a little bit different. If perhaps this particular way of looking at things might speak to you more. So here we start similar to the microscope metaphor, where we're looking at the smallest circle, the little interior circle. That's the teaspoonful of salt, or the difficult event, or the unpleasant sensation. Whatever that is that falls under this large umbrella of unpleasant, painful, that's in our innermost circle. So then we try to imagine creating another circle around that, or even widening that circle a little bit. If that circle was bigger, that thing doesn't get any bigger, it's still right in the center. What can you sense around it? Perhaps that's a time to come back to your breath. Again, feel the breath making space in your body. Perhaps you stay with that imagery and imagine another circle surrounding that. So there's a few more layers. You can almost think of it as sort of an insulation around that center thing. And then if this is working for you, can you expand that even a little bit wider? What else is around that circle? And perhaps when you open your experience, open your perspective and look around, you notice other things. For example, maybe there's a really difficult life experience in the center, and then as you notice these outside circles, you notice the people who are supporting you through that life experience. Or you notice your own skills that you have, the ways in which you face this and you've been successful. Or you've started to use skills that have helped you even when things have been tough and challenging. In these last moments, you can use any of those three metaphors we talked about: the salt in the freshwater lake, the pulling back of the microscope or the lens, or the simple graphic of widening or larger and larger concentric circles. It can also be helpful to return to the breath. Allow the breath to become your space, the breath to become your focus. And that's another tool and skill we have no matter what else is going on with us. We have that option of returning to the breath. It doesn't make those things go away. It might give us a little bit of calm, a little bit of greater peacefulness, greater ease, a little bit of skill to equip us to deal with whatever those other external things are that are weighing us down. So let's take about 3 more mindful breaths in together. Again, focusing the attention on space as you draw the breath in the body, maintaining that sense of space as the breath leaves your body. So that is today's mindfulness meditation. I hope you found it helpful or useful. I'd love to hear your comments below. Feel free to ask questions, to make requests. And if you like this meditation, I have a whole number of mindfulness-based meditation all around the same length. Please do check those out and give me a like if my channel is something that you enjoy. You can also subscribe. Take care and have a really good rest of your day.